Hi, welcome to Money Confidence. I'm Crystal Oculee. I'm the Chief Financial Strategist here at Confidence Wealth. And every week I try to bring a topic to you that's talked about and seems to be on everyone's mind. So I talked to you a little bit about real estate along the way as well. And this is again going to go back a little bit to real estate as well, because I have a lot of parents asking me, well, my kids are looking to buy real estate, but they're really concerned now because interest rates are high. Should they buy a property? Well, I am going to remind you of the years that interest rates were really high and everybody was still buying properties. So should you buy a property? So think about your kids. Should they buy a property or continue giving money for someone else to cover their mortgage, right? To someone else's mortgage in a sense. So we have to remember that owning a property always on the long term, unless something insane happens in some crazy area, for most people makes the most sense. Why? Because at some point it's going to be paid off. So they don't have to pay any more into it. They're going to build equity regardless of the interest rates, because they can go ahead and eventually refinance. And let's remember, 5, 6, 7% interest is not that terrible. There was a time there were double digits. We just got spoiled with it being 3% or 4%. So I am not the biggest fan when I hear people say, well, I'm not going to buy any property right now because interest rates are low. Interest rates are high and it's not the time to buy, when they own no other, meaning they have no properties and they're renting. That just doesn't make sense. So if you want to teach your kids, your grandkids, that it does make sense because you're not throwing your money out, it is a very smart thing. Think about these kids that are in their late 20s, early 30s, making decent money and sitting and in some places like California or New York paying thousands of dollars a year, and that money is going nowhere. It's going to zero. So it would make sense for them to buy something that they can afford. Now, you don't want to put yourself in a situation where they cannot afford it. Obviously, that should not be the case. So I definitely say that that's a good thing. And now, if you're grandparents and you're listening to this and you're like, you know what, Crystal, I wish I could be a part of this because I would love to help my grandkids. Maybe looking at where we can look at numbers and see, maybe helping with the down payment or part of the down payment or something like that. That could be, something you enjoy, as seeing them build this real estate and build some equity, as opposed to when you're gone, you're going to leave money to them. Again, there has to be a happy medium, because I don't want anyone to be in a situation where they gave too much money away while they were alive and now they needed it. So what I'm saying is there's a balancing act. But whatever you can do to encourage a young one in your life to definitely own real estate if they can afford it is a good thing. Right now in the world of the remote jobs, they can move anywhere really and have the remote job and buy something somewhere else. Or let's say let's just look at this scenario. One of my clients, their daughter still is working in Los Angeles, and she can't really afford to buy something in California. It's just too expensive right now. But I'm looking at the rent she's paying and I'm going, she's building nothing, right? It's just not working very well. And her mom was talking to me about it, and so was her father, and they're really concerned. So I said, why don't she buy something somewhere else in another state and rent it out? So even if she's not going to live there, she still owns a real estate. She gets some write-off and it pays for itself because someone else is renting it while she builds equity. And it was like an aha moment that went on, that owning real estate for these young individuals doesn't necessarily mean that they have to live in it, because if they can't and they're living in a state that is too expensive, they can still do that in a different state. Maybe it could be a state that they eventually want to move to, or even if it's not, it doesn't matter. So really encourage them, get them to think about things that they could do, that they're not throwing their money away, and try to get them to do it on their own. Don't always be ready to, fork up money to help them with it. Why? Because the more someone is doing this on their own, the more they appreciate it, the more they enjoy it, and the better they will do moving forward. I think that's something that is extremely important, because we have too many young individuals right now working jobs, making good money, and really throwing money at rent. And they're never going to see any benefit from that, right? Except for their living situation being comfortable where they are at right now. But there are ways we can help them by having them think outside the box. So again, I know the last couple of weeks I brought up grandkids and kids a lot because I just had a lot of my clients talking to me about how to improve their lives of these young individuals. And I think one way we can do that is by educating them so they're not throwing money away every single month, year after year, year after year. I actually did that math for one of my clients' daughters, and she had literally given away $250,000 that she will never see again, paying for someone else's rent. And that just woke her up, and she started thinking outside the box. That's it at this end. Until next week. Have a great one.